Be silent in that solitude, which is not loneliness. For then the spirits of the dead who stood in life before thee are again in death around thee, and their will shall overshadow thee. Be still. Edgar Allan Poe, in Spirits of the Dead. There's a dirt winding road in San Bernardino County that can take you back in time. It's a road that takes you back to the Braken Fern Manor and Tudor House. Braken Fern Manor and Tudor House was built in 1926 and was originally known as the Crib, while the Tudor House, formerly known as Club Arrowhead of the Pines, became a social hideaway for Hollywood's elite. The manor is a 10-room, 10-bathroom house that was said to have been used as a brothel during the Prohibition, while the Tudor House was used to house illegal gambling, liquor, and other illegal pastimes. Infamous mobster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was said to have funded the construction and built the locations as a sanctuary of escape for Hollywood's bigwigs and mob members, which also left the manor to host a few deaths and suicides on the property. What secrets lie within the walls and the prohibition tunnels of the manor? Do the spirits of the mob still linger around the property? And who is the negative entity that inhabits the Jasmine Room? And is it true that there's a demon that lurks within the prohibition tunnels? Grab your voice recorder as we join OC Ghosts and Legends for a memorable lockdown at the infamous Braken Fern Manor. Sit down with us as we interview the rest of the OC Ghost and Legends crew. Let's talk about crystals, protection, grounding, and Charles Manson's ghost. With Dixie Tantardini, who is the psychic and medium of OC Ghosts and Legends. You definitely don't want to miss out on the creepy EVPs and one-on-one chats with the patrons that experience something otherworldly at the Braken Fern Manor. Let's get Hollyweird as we lock down with OC Ghosts and Legends. Side note, the following interview was recorded on May 18, 2019, during a lockdown event at the Braken Fern Manor that was thrown and hosted by OC Ghosts and Legends. Please pardon any background noises that you might hear during the interviews that were being conducted. Now, let's get Hollyweird.
Nestled in San Bernardino National Forest, surrounded by pine, cedar, and dogwood at an altitude of 5,100 feet is Lake Arrowhead, California, an area described as the Alps of Southern California. In 1826, around that time, about 40 Paiute Indians, a very warlike tribe, used the mountains for their hunting grounds. They lived in the high desert area. Many were killed in a fight with the white men of Little Bear Valley, of course. At the same time, a more peaceful tribe of Indians, the Serranos, lived very near Little Bear Valley in an area now known as Rock Camp on the north side of the mountain. They would take their old and sick to Arrowhead Hot Springs for rejuvenation and healing. They hunted in the beautiful and bountiful valley and lived relatively peaceful, somewhat nomadic lives, descending to the desert highlands and warmer inland valleys during the winter months. Beneath a historic Arrowhead sits the equally unique Arrowhead Springs. The Arrowhead Springs is a place deeply rooted in legend, with the most ancient one possibly being passed down from Native Americans. The legend goes, the Great Spirit had an arrow which was to guide the Native Americans to the spot where they were to make their home. The Great Spirit, having selected the place, fixed the arrow to mark it forever. It is believed that the native inhabitants of the San Bernardino Mountains thought the arrowhead directed the way to the hot springs with healing properties, and therefore considered it holy ground. Now we fast forward to the 1920s and Prohibition. We touched on this subject in episode 30 on famous haunted Hollywood bars. Police were cracking down on the mob in the city, so the mob moved their operations to less discreet areas. One famous mobster who was rumored to lead this move was the notorious mobster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. Rumor has it that Bugsy talked the Chicago mob into backing his new venture, which is now known as Braken Fern Manor. This Alpine-style inn opened as Club Arrowhead in the Pines on July 4th, 1926. The inn had state-of-the-art amenities such as electricity. More importantly, it catered to the rich and famous, offering gambling, illegal liquor, and working girls. Other amenities included an Olympic-sized swimming pool, skiing, tennis courts, a bathhouse, and more. The brothel continued operations through World War II, although gambling was maintained in the speakeasy across the street up until 1955. Today, Braken Fern Manor is a certified historic landmark in the state of California. Across from the Braken Fern Manor is where the gambling took place at the club. Now known as the Tudor House, the story has that when cops were on their way up the mountain from San Bernardino, the administrators were alerted and gambling tables were actually turned over to appear as regular tables. Braken Fern Manor claims to be haunted by a former working girl named Violet. She killed herself after the mob killed her lover. You can still smell her violet-scented perfume wafting through the halls. Another is the ghost of a little boy who's also been seen at this historic inn. He is thought to be the son of a former prostitute and was trampled on by a team of horses. Today, his tiny footsteps are often seen in the snow. Ooh. So it is told. After the inn became successful, Bugsy convinced the bosses in Chicago to front him the dough for another little gambling adventure known as Las Vegas. However, Bugsy's lavish taste caused him to go way over his $1 million budget and ultimately cost him his credibility with Chicago and his life. While he was having dinner one evening with his lover, Virginia Hill, at their Hollywood home, Bugsy was shot dead.
Thanks, girl, for the little historical tidbit on Lake Arrowhead and the historical Braken Fern Manor. We just kept it a little Disney for you right there, so you won't have just a nervous breakdown, even though some of our listeners were anticipating that. So, guys, just a little side note. If you do make your way to Braken Fern Manor, it is a pretty interesting drive, but once you hit the mountains, I could see why the mobsters and the Hollywood elite really wanted to, venture to this part. It is truly a sequestered area within the mountains. And the roads, once you hit the mountains, are pretty winding and very narrow. So tread lightly around that area. But the views are definitely worth it. I make my way to the manor and I'm greeted by OC Ghosts and Legends. And I, of course, made a beeline to their psychic and medium, Dixie Tantardini, and I grabbed her immediately for the first interview. With Dixie, it was always a pleasure to talk with her. We talked about grounding, protection, crystals, and her little trip to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum, where she actually was hired to do a cleansing of his museum. And you're not going to believe the things and the tea that she had to share with me in regards to the museum. We go over what she felt and what she picked up on the land of Lake Arrowhead. And guys, it was a very, very interesting interview. And it's always a pleasure to speak with medium Dixie Tantardini. And here's our interview.
So guys, we're trying to follow up on our last interview. And Dixie had reminded me that electronics just do not work in her presence. So I'm hoping that fingers crossed.
Yes, it's going to work. This time.
This will work. Nothing will fall from the sky or from the ceiling like last time at David's house.
It'll be okay.
So Dixie, give us your full name, what you do for OC Ghosts and Legends, and just, talk, about yourself and what you plan on doing tonight during the lockdown here at the Braken Fern Manor.
Yes. So my name is Dixie Tantardini. I am a psychic, medium, and spiritual healer. I I've pretty much had abilities my entire life, and I started working professionally a few years ago, and then now I am working with the team and doing psychic medium stuff with them, investigations, and then I'm also going to be doing a workshop on spiritual protection in an hour, and just kind of helping people learn how to protect themselves when they go into environments like this.
That's really good because you see a lot of shows and YouTube channels of these, green ghost hunters, and they just go in with a camera and no knowledge of their surroundings or whatever presence is lurking in the dark. And that's very important. Do you usually do these workshops like outside of OC Ghost Legends, or just mainly just within, their walkthroughs or their hunts or lockdowns?
So I do assist in some psychic development classes in Santa Ana. So I do stuff like that. And then I also do educate people like through the investigations that we do, the lockdowns, just to kind of give people a little heads up like, hey, if you're going to be doing this, this is the right way to protect yourself so you don't have anything follow you home.
I remember that from the David Oman house when I was sitting down in the third floor with you and the guests, the first group, and you had this amazing table set out with serenite and candles and sage, and then you had amazing like pendulums and like maps with like where the pendulum can swing right and left towards, and I mean that was such a great opportunity for people to learn how to do these things right. What did you gather from that night at David Oman's house?
It was fun because that had actually been my first time there. So it was a whole different energy. But I made sure I protected the lower level and made sure that everyone was feeling comfortable.
And everybody was.
Yeah. I didn't want anyone to be afraid. I didn't want anyone to feel fearful or, negative or anything like that, because I want the energy. I want you to feel the energy.
Yes.
But I don't want it to be a scary negative thing for people, and I want them to be able to know how to do certain things so that they can protect themselves and they're not afraid, so then nothing is feeding off of that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about the paranormal, walk us through your beginnings with your relationship in the paranormal and your site.
So like I said, my whole life, I mean, since I was a baby, well, ever since I can remember, talking to spirits like they were just like regular people.
Right.
I actually grew up in a house that the previous owner had died in, and he was, as a spirit still living there, and I was talking to him. Yeah. So, Edmund Hickenlooper was his name, and I talked to him all the time, and I didn't see it as anything bad. And then through my teenage years, after my mom telling me don't tell anyone, they're going to think you're crazy. Just keep that in.
Yeah.
And then I, destructive behavior because I couldn't express who I really wanted to be. And then finally, one day it was like, okay, I just want to be myself. I just want everyone to know, like, this is what I do. I don't want to be afraid of myself. I don't want other people to be afraid of me. And this is the best way for me to show people that psychics don't have to be all woo-woo and sometimes creepy and, read your palm and stuff.
Wear chiffon,
Yeah, like, I don't wear a turban. I don't
have a 1-800 number.
No, none of that. So I want people to see, like, psychics are just like you and me. It's not a costume. It's not a fad. It's actual human beings. And everybody has this ability, and anybody can work on it and develop it. It's just, you have to get over the fear.
Right.
So I want everyone to get over the fear so they can be their true selves.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
What messages do you have for people who have your abilities that don't know how to approach it or how to control it or just go through life with it?
So psychic development classes, if you look online, there's a lot in a lot of different areas. Yeah.
Wow.
So LA, Orange County, if you're not from California, there's other places. If you look up online, psychic development classes or workshops, there's so many things out there in the world that you could be educating yourself, and not to be afraid of it, because it's really, as long as you know how to protect yourself, there's really nothing to fear.
That's
and
true.
I just want people to understand, like, it's not scary, it's not weird, because everybody has it. So just get over that fear and that stigma of what you think a psychic is, and then I don't know.
We are sitting outside on the porch, guys. We're just missing tea and, gossip, which we'll get soon. So, oh, dish. Lay the tea, clink, clink, clink. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you see a lot of those classes and workshops more so in California than anywhere else, or?
I think there is more in California because more people in California are typically open to it. I'm seeing a lot more people nowadays being open to the idea of it, wanting to do things like this. And there's so many things on TV now that, in the media, it's like, oh, look at paranormal this and look at aliens that. And it's just like, really that word is getting out and that acceptance is starting to happen.
Yes.
So I feel like a lot more people are going to psychic development classes, even if it's just to see if you have anything.
Right.
So it's just for some people, it's for fun. And some people, they want to make a living out of it. Whatever way you're going to do it, great. So I encourage everybody to do it.
Tell me, what do you talk about in a development class with individuals that are trying to, I guess, manage their gifts?
So it's a lot of protection, obviously, is the number one thing. How to cleanse yourself, how to clear yourself, how to manage your abilities, whether it be clairvoyance, which is like clear seeing through your third eye, clairaudience, hearing things, feeling things, clairsentient, there's so many different clairs. Subjects, and there's other things like how to work a pendulum.
I love that.
Yeah.
I loved that. And that when we were downstairs, that map and the pendulum, it was so safe. I felt safe. I felt
good.
This is how you do it. Not some little teenage kid messing around with a Ouija board that he bought on eBay.
And the poor stigma that goes with that too, because Ouija board, it depends on who's using it and how they're using it. So Ouija boards aren't bad. It's just you have to learn how to use these tools properly.
Right.
So a lot of that psychic development too is learning how to use the tools properly, only talking to things that are from the light. You don't want to talk to anything else because it's really not going to give you the right information anyway. So it's doing the right things with the tools and learning how to discern what's negative, what's positive, what I can talk to, the different feelings with that. So there's a whole thing. There's so many themes and so many subjects with it that, I mean, I can go on for days and days and days talking about.
Oh, I know.
About,
we can. From our last interview, we could, man. We had some amazing things that were brought up during that interview and things that happened around us that we cannot explain.
Oh,
well, you can. You're like, oh, that was them. So tell me, I'm a green ghost hunter, and I'm taking a workshop from you or taking a class from you on on protection. What are your top 3 items or things for protection?
That's awesome. You already know. So there are 3 things.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I have ESPN,
ESPN. Sports Central.
Must be that I have ESPN.
But yeah, you're right. There is 3 things. So with protection, it's asking for guidance. So that's the number one thing is you got to ask. Because if you don't ask, by the accordance of free will, they can't really do a whole lot because they don't want there's such a thing as divine intervention, but it's better to ask and have that security. So it's asking your guides, it's asking your angels, asking God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to come in and support you and just to protect you during that time of your uncertainty or if you're anxious or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So that's the number one thing is just asking for it. Number 2 is shielding yourself. So it's asking your guides again to shield you in a protective field. So when you go into an area, nothing's going to get attached to you. So energies can get attached to you. You don't want that. They suck you dry. You don't want it. So it's either surrounding yourself in a white light, like a cocoon of white light, or gold light, that's a really high vibrational color, or any color, that's gonna, like green is for healing, purple's for psychic development, and blue is for, communication. So you can, and I have a handout, so I'm gonna give everybody a handout. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of things to do with shielding. And then the strongest one is lead. So if you actually surround yourself in a cocoon of lead, nothing toxic can get through. That's where you're in a really negative environment where you think, there's something going on here.
Okay.
Or if you're, with a person that's extremely violent or something like that, surrounding yourself in lead is really going to help.
Okay.
So that's the number one, if you're in a bad situation kind of deal.
Yeah.
But all the shields help. asking for, help, all those kind of things. And then number 3 is using some kind of object. So being crystals or a religious icon or a talisman or something that's going to make you feel powerful. And I'm going to go over crystals too. So like what protective crystals to use, black tourmaline, hematite, there's all kinds of crystals that will help you feel protected, and they have an aura, and so I'll be talking about auras and what they are and how you can protect it and things like that. So those protective objects are going to help you feel more powerful, along with the shield and along with asking for help. So those are the 3 number 1 things: ask, shield, object.
Ask, shield, object. Okay, SAO, guys. Yeah. SAO. There you go. we got the acronym for that. Mm-hmm. Now, have you ever had anyone approach you out of the blue and say, Dixie, I have a problem. I went ghost hunting. I didn't protect myself, and now something attached itself to me. Can you help?
Yes. So I am also a Reiki master and a Karuna Reiki master. So what we can do as an energy healer is help detach those things from your aura. And there is also a woman, her name is Margaret McCormick, and I have her information. She does all kinds of removals. And she does it from a distance, so you never have to go see her. You never have to do anything because there's distance healing. That's really what it is healing. Oh, wow. So she clears your aura, and she surrounds your aura afterwards with a protective shield that's good for this lifetime. So nothing will ever get attached to you ever again.
Wow.
I am in the process of learning that. So I am still in the process, but I am getting to a point where I'm going to be doing things like that. So for her, she's like the top gun. So Margaret McCormick, it's www.margaretmccormick.com. Just look her up. I think she goes by Healing Hands. Oh, wow. And she does what's it called? House clearings all by a distance, and she does animal clearings and plant clear. Everything. She does everything. So
for house plants and animals, guys.
And I can do that too, but she does the lifetime protection. I don't know how to do that yet.
It's like the AAA of psychic.
Yes, literally. I've had her, do removals on me, and I feel awesome. So like after she did all of that, my life has changed and my life is more positive, and so many good things have happened from that. So definitely recommend, if you feel like you have some kind of attachment to you, go to a Reiki master or some kind of spiritual healer. Even shamans, they can detach things from your aura as well, or Margaret McCormick. So anybody, just do some kind of spiritual, go to a healer, because if we try to do it on ourselves, it's kind of hard.
It's pretty difficult.
Yeah. So if you're trained in how to do it, like a Reiki master is, then it's a lot easier for us to go in and go, okay, you're done, you're clear, whatever, get out of here.
Yeah.
Don't get anything attached to you again. Protect yourself. But so that's what I would recommend for anyone who feels like they have attachments. You can always surround yourself in, those the white light and gold light and things like that. But once something is attached to your aura, you can't really get it out.
Yeah.
So you have to go to someone who can actually detach that for you.
Does that work with exes?
That is actually cords. So so that is a different thing. So when we are attached to somebody, we have an invisible cord that is attached to them. So when we become intimate with someone, or when we're in a relationship, and even with family, so we can have cords attached to our family. When you're in a negative relationship and you have a cord attached to that person, and you don't know how to cut that cord, then that's where you're still attached to that person in a sense. So you can actually cut cords on your own. So cutting cords is just imagining, what I like to tell people, and different psychics have different ways of doing it, but you can do this on your own. Ask your guides to help you cut your cords. Imagine a giant gold scissor that's cutting that cord that's attached to your navel, to his navel, or whoever it is. Cut that cord. Don't let it reattach again.
Right.
Just stay away from
Guys, you got your first lesson right here. Yeah. Well, actually your second.
Yeah, and that you can do on your own. Yeah, so you don't need to go to anybody or anything like that, and that will help you detach from that person so you can move on with your life.
And this doesn't happen just instantly. This takes time, right? Is that part of
cords,
to cut cords, and or just the process of of healing and Reiki work? I know a lot of people are so used to like supply and immediate demand. It's like they think it's Amazon Prime. Like, I'll get it in a day. It will go away, within several hours, right? And from what I heard,
some of these things kind of take time. Is that right?
It depends on what it is. So if you had a really severe attachment to someone, it's really you being able to let it go. So if you're not able to let it go, but you still want that cord cut, that cord is still there. You're not able to let it go. You have to realize that it's a negative relationship or whatever the case may be. Let it go. You're done. You have to be done. So if you're not done, that cord is still attached. So once you have made that decision, you know what? I want this gone from my life. I want to move forward. I want to let it go. I want to cut the cord. So it's just really going into a meditation, asking your guides for help, seeing that cord cut, and you have to stay true to that. You can't go back. Oh, wait. I want it back. No. Because then they're not going to, you can't cry wolf with that stuff.
Right.
Because then it's going to be like, do you really want this or not?
Right.
So it's just going to be a constant issue in your life. So once you really make that final decision of, I don't want this anymore, then that's when the cord can be cut.
Got
and that's when you're ready to let go.
That's like me and Bryce with iced coffee and chocolate, man. Just like, and cheese pizza. I don't want to cut them yet. Cheese pizza. We're not done yet. Never be done. I know. So let's go into Braken Fern Manor. What have you felt so far setting foot onto this property?
There is a lot of different things just swirling around in here. The funniest being, I know this probably shouldn't be funny, I actually in one of the rooms when I stepped into, I can't even remember what room it is, I'm gonna have to go up and see, I actually felt a drunk man stumble and fall face first into the wall. And I laughed. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But it was a residual thing. So it was almost like that imprint was
God.
There. And I was like, oh my God.
That reminds me of college. I was probably most likely that man.
And then he was laying on the floor face down, just like, just groaning. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to leave him alone. And this is a spirit, guys. This is not a real
patrons here moaning. It's a drunk man. It's all right. He's drunk.
He's got to sleep it off. Just let him sleep it off. He'll be fine. But that was pretty funny. But I have felt, other entities here across the way at the, what is it? The bathhouse or the, I'm here. I don't even know what these things are called. I think it was like the clubhouse or the pool house. They called it multiple things. Yeah. So I felt a 12, 13-year-old boy in there. Was dressed like a paper boy back in the 20s. Had a cigarette behind his ear. The mob did run this place for a period of time. And I feel like he was the errand boy. And so I was kind of feeling him out a little bit. And then inside, right before I walked up the stairs, there was a woman that stopped me and was like, don't go up here. He's up here. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go anyway. So I'm sorry.
Excuse me, just going to
and I told her, I'm like, it's okay. Like, I know how to talk to him. And try to calm her down a little bit.
Was that Violet? Because I know that her presence is pretty strongly felt here.
I'm not sure if it was her. The name I got from her was Blanche. Or Blanca or something with a BL, but she was kind of freaked out and anxious because spirits can be like really nervous too. Right. So I was trying to calm her down, and then after I calmed her down, she didn't really want to talk to me. So
she should take some of that hooch from that drunk spirit.
I know. Like, just take the moonshine and pass out on the floor. You'll be fine.
Go for it, girl.
Yeah. So, and then there's certain places where in the cellar, I think there's a vortex in there, and I think it's brand new. Like, I think somebody went in there and did something. So I'm going to have to investigate that a little bit more, because I feel like that was just a recent thing that happened. So I'm going to have to try to close that before anything else comes through. And then, let's see, what else did I feel? I mean, there's spots in the house where I was just feeling like really heavy in the chest and really dizzy. Oh, and the top floor where the supposed man was thrown out the window, I saw that whole scene.
Oh, Ernie, right? Or Ernest. I
think it was Ralph. I don't know.
Ralph.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. I don't think he cares.
He's like, what the fuck, dude?
He's like, whatever.
No one could remember my name in life, let alone the afterlife.
But yeah, I could feel the three men that were in the room with him that beat the crap out of him, and they were telling me, because it was mob related, so they're like, shut up, don't talk about this. And I saw them beating the crap out of him and then throwing him out the window, and I think he was dead before he came out the window. So I saw that whole scene. So yeah, that's the part with psychic work that's like,
Okay. That's
so
where you could legit separate urban legend myth with what actually happened. That could lead me into the Boo Adventures. You know Zach Bagans. You know the Bagans. And we have to talk about this because you discussed this in our last interview that I couldn't find. But you worked on clearing his haunted museum, and you came across a lot of interesting dead people.
Yeah, there was a lot of spirits that had not crossed to the light that, I helped cross to the light. But once it was clear, he keeps adding stuff. So when he keeps adding things, it just brings new energy in there. And because he's got some negative stuff attached to him, they're telling him, hey, bring this thing home, bring this thing home. And then because he's influenced by that, he's causing fear in other people, and of course they live on fear. Negative entities live on fear. So so they're like, hey, this is the best guy to be around because he's going to keep bringing fear into this one area where people are paying to be afraid. And it's just a cycle that's never going to stop until, I think I'm going to have Margaret clear him at some point in time because
he needs to. And you brought up a really good point because you mentioned that he had not one, not two, but he had 4 demonic presences that he collected while being on the show, right?
Yep, from going to these places and not protecting himself. Because once you open yourself up to it and saying, okay, demon, I want you to attack me.
Oh, I hate that.
Like, guess what? They're going to freaking attack you, and they're going to attach to you and go, okay, dum-dum.
Yeah.
Let's do this. It's party time now. I'm going to bring all my friends with me, too. And so everywhere he goes, it's just collecting more stuff because he keeps opening himself up to it.
And you brought up a good point, like within the last seasons of the show, you notice like how his eyes
it's dark
get darker.
Yep, they're dark,
and his skin gets oranger
and his lips get pinker. I don't understand.
I feel like he has like a PA that holds like, I don't know, like his like lipstick or maybe his powder or lip gloss cuts in the middle of take and is like, wait, I need to be like fixed for a bit.
Yeah, he probably does. He's a drama queen, so I can see him do it. He's a diva.
You came across a very infamous entity at his museum. You came across Charles Manson. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, he's not in a good place. And then, of course, because Zach now has his ashes. Yeah, great job.
Of course. Poor Yush.
So because he has his ashes and some other items of his that were at the last moments of his life, and with the other items that he already had, attached to Charles Manson, and now, which I'm pretty upset about, and I know he's had it for a while, is the wedding dress of Sharon Tate. I am so disgusted that he would have 2 of those things in the same place, considering, but his demons are telling him to do that.
Yeah.
They're telling him to do that. So
I love people's response, like, it's in a different room. His celebrity, it's like in the same ground.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's just disrespectful. Yeah. I just see it as totally disrespectful. But, so he is not in the light, obviously. He is very scared of judgment, which, fine, whatever. He's living in his own personal hell right now, and he kind of needs to go through that for a while.
Good.
So he needs to learn from that, and he needs to see all the pain he's caused. And he does see it, and he's afraid. So, it's not... And there's so many other things with that, too, that I've been coming across, and I don't want to... There's some secrets that I feel like are going to be opened up here pretty soon about that whole case. So I really do believe that someone ordered him to kill her.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and I know who that is.
Oh, my God.
So I don't want to say anything, but
no,
it's
we'll wait within time, but that's something that you saw. No, definitely.
Yeah, it's really bad.
We had a listener ask us, like, what did you collect at David Oman's house? Like, what did you see with your mind's eye?
Well, surprisingly enough, I mean, there really wasn't any negative energy there. I didn't feel... I really didn't.
A lot of people go in there like, where's the negative energy? Baggins said there was.
Well, Baggins an idiot. But whatever. He's got demons. I don't. But, I did not feel anything negative there. There was definitely some strong energy there.
Yeah.
I definitely felt a lot of energy from the land. Because there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on with the land, but I didn't feel any, the murder things that happened in that whole situation. I didn't feel that. It's just, I really feel it's a land energy that is so strong.
Yes.
And it just makes people either sick or dizzy, or it can make it can be overwhelming a little bit if you don't know how to handle that type of energy. But it's strong. But I didn't feel anything negative per se. But I don't know if anybody else did.
When I first entered, I felt all those things.
The house next door,
that was
has
crazy.
Some negative stuff in it, but not the omen. I didn't feel anything.
No, that was the positive space in my opinion.
Yeah.
Next door was just. I walked in there first 5 minutes. I'm like, get me out. Like, I just felt so heavy.
Oh, downstairs?
Yeah, and it's so funny that you mentioned downstairs, because when I was sitting by the fireplace on the first level, it just felt like arms or hands like dragging me down. Like they wanted me to come down.
And there was a few of the investigators that were like, I really want to go down there. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And they're like, I really want. I'm like, nope. So
I had palpitations going. I was like, get me out.
And a lot of people did. So yeah, that was fun.
Now, we had an interesting discussion, and Bryce wants me to bring this up.
Okay.
Heaven and hell.
Yes.
We talked about it real quick. We have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Walk us through your belief on heaven and hell.
So there's no such place as hell. Hell is where we are here on this earth. This is our learning ground. Heaven is more of a teaching, place where it's really our souls are meant to grow. And you start off as a kindergartner, and being a soul, and then every life that you have, you're growing and you're learning to be that spiritual being. Ultimately, some people want to get to ascended master status, and some people they don't, and they want to graduate high school and they're fine with that. So it just depends on where you are spiritually, growing. But there's no why would God create someone just to send them to hell? That doesn't make any sense. And I've asked so many people in my own research and my own meditations, and they're like, yeah, there's no such thing. So hell is what you make of earth. This is the toughest learning ground there is. So.
And we're just like living the lives, as ourselves from past lives, because we're here trying to learn something that we didn't learn
in another karma.
Life.
So definitely there is karma involved. So the people that keep showing up in your life, pay attention to that, because that might be someone that you had a past life with that karma needs to be balanced. So that person won't go away until you figure that out. So so that person that keeps showing up that you don't want to see anymore, there's a reason for that. So try to figure out with that karma, even if it's just, forgiving them or accepting their or whatever it is. It's, we need to work out our karma so we can move on.
Right.
As spiritual beings.
Correct. I need to work on a lot of things. Like cutting my cheese pizza intake.
Well, that's why we're here. We're here to learn.
You not only do healing within human beings, but you also do animal healing as well.
I do animal healings and communication, and I absolutely love it because they're just the purest little amazing creatures. All animals are.
They are.
And they're so blunt about everything, and they're not going to lie to. They don't lie to you about anything. And I just love working with them. They're just little blessings, and they make me so happy. So.
Do you get a lot of individuals that bring you animals like, I adopted her or him, and I just want to know where he came from?
Yes, I actually do get people that either they find animals or they get them from a shelter, and they want to know what their backstory was, because as human beings we want to know the story. We want to know where you came from and what happened to you. But in some cases it's better not to know, because I don't want them to put that negative, oh, you poor thing, oh, you had this rough. It's because they live in the present.
Yeah.
They want to be happy now. They don't want to think about, the stuff that happened. And some of them, unfortunately, if they were severely abused, there's things that they have to work on. But for the most part, a lot of clients want to know where they came from and what their story is, so they can have a story. It's fun.
You gave an amazing reading of my Mia. I was like, Oh my God, that's so true. I just felt like she needed to be in my life.
Yeah, and all of our animals, really. I
believe that. That I believe 100%.
Definitely come into our lives for a reason.
Dog's journey right there.
Yeah, it's true. They're our little guardian angels.
Well, thank you so much, Dixie, for sitting with me. I'm like keeping this eye on this recorder, and everything's great. Everything. I'm checking it, man. Making sure that it's still recording.
Awesome.
Where can people find you?
So you can go on my website, www.dixietantardini.com. I can spell the last name Tantardini. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, you can check my website out. If you have any questions, send me an email. You can find it on my website. So yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I can't wait for tonight. I can't wait for your workshop.
I know. It's going to come up right now.
Let's do it. All right. Bye, guys.
The secrets that Dixie Tantardini came across that night at David Oman's house in regards to the Sharon Tate and Charles Manson case is quite astounding. And it's definitely something that might come up or might not. Who knows? But it's definitely something very interesting. But a secret is a secret, and I promised her I wouldn't tell. So now we make our way to another OC Ghost and Legends member, Larry. And our interview was quite interesting since we touched on the subject of the Latino community and the paranormal. So let's talk with Larry.
My name's Larry Zamora, and I do utility, a little bit of tech, and I believe junior investigator. And I've been with the group for at least 3 years.
3 years?
Yes.
Awesome. I remember you from David Oman's house. I have captured a photo of you with an orb on your shoulder. Yeah, I have to show it to you soon. So what drew you to the paranormal, and what got you investigating, and why?
Well, what drew me to, I guess, the paranormal, first of all, it's actually, in like the Latino community, it's actually something that most of us believe in. But at one point or another, I was actually very, it scared me for a while, because it was just something I didn't understand. I actually come from a scientific background, so for me, although there was no proof, just the idea that there is something out there that doesn't have any proof and we still believe in it, for some reason would just terrify me. Wow. So what I actually did was, at one point, I believe it was a couple years ago, I decided anything that scares me, I'm going to go ahead and essentially face my fears. So at one point I was scared of heights. So I actually did some work as a roofer. So that took care of that. And then I guess the paranormal was the next one. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and join a group. I mean, ultimately, I do want to believe in it. I want to have that open mind. So if I get to go ahead and notice anything, perfect. If not, there's no issue with that. So I reached out to Chris. I went ahead. They did the interview process and everything. And actually, on the very first night, I found out that although we are in San Juan Capistrano, nobody at that time in the group, and actually I believe still, nobody actually can speak in Spanish.
Wow.
So the first investigation I did, that's where I found out, hey, I could be pretty useful for this.
Of course.
So I started asking, I do questions in Spanish. Every now and then I do a couple of other languages, but I stick mostly to Spanish. And as far as I know, from what I've actually heard, I haven't heard any actual response back just yet, but from the areas where we're in Southern California, I'm more than sure that we're going to get something in Spanish.
Nice. You're like, that's a goal.
Yeah, that's a goal. But that being said, ultimately, 3 years, I've noticed a couple of things that were out of the ordinary, but nothing with conclusive evidence, essentially.
Tell me about your first paranormal experience, or did you have one?
Yeah, actually my first paranormal experience, or I believe it's paranormal, was the very first investigation I did with OC Ghosts and Legends. And we were out in San Juan Capistrano, And we had actually just finished the investigation. And after that investigation, we were essentially putting all of our equipment away. And at that point, I heard someone say my name. So I go outside. I'm like, hey, did anybody call me? And everybody's like, no, nobody called you. So I chalked it up. I'm like, okay, it's probably something along those lines, but I want to get out of here because it's late.
I want to get out of here and catch an episode of Friends.
But yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty intense. I noticed that poster on the outside. Where were you guys investigating in San Juan Capistrano?
In San Juan Capistrano, we were actually investigating off of Los Rios Street.
Really?
Yes.
What is the story on that street?
Well, actually, it's the oldest street in California that's still.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of our, I guess you could say, our home grounds.
Wow. What are the tales from that location?
The tales from that location, they vary anything from the Lady in White, which is everywhere, but also. There are a couple of other stories along those lines. Most of them have to do with the railroad, because at that point, when it was initially actually put in that spot, there was a lot of lashback, because they essentially put it in front of people's houses and said you can't do anything about it. So, but there is there are a couple stories based off of that, and actually we've done. We're still experimenting with it, but we do believe that if, for example, a train does pass by that gives or stirs up energy to go ahead and maybe cause something to go ahead and try to communicate. And we've gotten some results based off of that.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what Anthony was mentioning too. Your investigations in San Juan, that they were very successful.
Oh yes.
You mentioned like the Latin community and the paranormal. I want to really touch on that subject with you because, I mean, that is a good thing to bring up, especially here in California with the Hispanic population. What was your point of view on, like, the Latin community and the paranormal?
Actually, I mean, usually we do go ahead and I believe very much with any society, it's I don't understand it, so I'm scared of it.
Right.
But at the same time, there's also an understanding that, for example, when I started with OC Ghosts and Legends, it was actually, we started talking about residual and then intelligent hauntings. And one of the couple of things regarding an intelligent haunting is essentially saying goodbye to a loved one. And at that point, I had remembered my mother had told me a story of, when you were still essentially in my belly, your grandfather had passed away. My father had passed away, and I had the windows closed, and I was close to some blinds, and the blinds just went like as if somebody passed by them. And at that point, that eventually shortly after, she found out that he had passed away.
Oh wow.
So she obviously told me that without any of that fear. Obviously we do have that fear based off of some of the folklore such as La Llorona.
Of course, yeah.
La Llorona, El Chupacabra, things like that. So I mean, at the same time, it's just most of the stories are I've seen something and I ran away.
Yeah, that sounds right. Or I've seen something and my mom told me to say like the 8 Hail Marys. That is my mom. My mom's like, ay Dios mío, Tami, Jesus Cristo, you gotta say your 8 Hail Marys.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just something that we don't understand. So I believe that does impact that a lot.
Right. What do you plan on collecting on tonight's investigation?
Well, tonight's investigation, although we are going to be collecting, is actually more for any of our guest investigators.
Okay.
We want to go ahead and help them out. More or less, we want them to have the experience.
That's amazing. That's
so,
great.
Although we're definitely keeping an eye out for things, it's definitely for our guests.
As a paranormal investigator, what are your tools of choice? What are your paranormal investigation tools of choice?
My very first tool, I believe most of us believe in it, is our intuition.
Nice.
Our intuition, there's that feeling where you feel something happening and it raises the hairs on your back, or it raises the hair on the back of your neck, and you feel, hey, something's not right here, or something's different here. Actually, here I did have an experience where I had gone up to the 3rd floor, and the hair on my back and the back of my neck just stood up.
Is that the Jasmine room?
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to set foot in that room.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the experience I had was I got up there, it was in the middle of the day, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I just, I guess it was a primal thing where your fight or flight came in.
Wow.
So, for me, it's always fight and not flight. So for me, it's let's go. But ultimately, there wasn't anything in there. I walked in, I checked, and after that, the feeling went away. And then we had guests that night, and I believe it was in that area that we had a guest draw. I guess it was, the easiest way I could say it was a female figure with a whole bunch of hair standing up, and with a black background, and it was definitely menacing. So I was...
Okay, I'm rethinking going up there now. I want to go.
I mean, definitely, you should go ahead, try it out. I mean, ultimately, everybody's experience is their own, and that's definitely something that we like to go ahead and say at the beginning of every investigation. I mean, feel free to go ahead and tell us, hey, this is what I feel, because you might actually go ahead and be explaining something that something else is feeling and actually validating them. So, I mean, everybody's experience is their own. Everybody's built a different way. I mean, some people are able to pick up on certain things while others people aren't. So we never go ahead and say, hey, no, that's not right. We always say that's definitely something that can happen.
That's true. Any last words or words of advice for individuals, kind of venturing into the paranormal or wanting to investigate it?
Definitely go ahead. I know most of them do hear all of their recordings, but it's definitely interesting to hear your recording several times, because at the first time you may not go ahead and catch something, and then second or third time, or just having somebody else listen to it, at that point you're like, oh, how did I miss this? So not only that, but definitely if you want to go ahead and investigate it, make sure that you're prepared for everything and anything.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Larry. I wish you happy ghost hunting.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
The Jasmine room of the manor is one of the most highly active rooms. At first I thought it was the Violet room, but Jasmine, from what I was told, definitely takes the cake. Legend has it that it's inhabited by the spirit of a gentleman by the name of Ralph. Ralph was a groundskeeper that worked on the property back in the 20s. There are two stories. The first one was that he was a little rough with the girls, and they didn't take too kindly to it, so they complained to the mob, and the mob handled him. Second story was he was in love with one of the prostitutes, and the mob members found out, and they took care of it the only way they knew how. By beating him up to death, throwing his body out of the 3rd floor window, where it was soon ran over by a car, and then his remains were thrown into the woods, where they were consumed by bears. But it is legend. However, Ralph definitely makes himself very known, and Chris August, who is the lead director of OC Ghosts and Legends, has had a very, very personal experience with Ralph in that room. And you can actually find that video on their YouTube channel, OC Ghosts and Legends on YouTube. But later that night, Ralph definitely made his presence known to one of our investigative members in our group. We'll listen to her story later. But we make our way to another investigator by the name of Anthony, and Anthony is one hell of a guy. And here's our interview with Anthony.
I'm Anthony Holter. I have been with OC Ghosts and Legends for a year, and I'm an investigator and tech guy.
How long have you been investigating the paranormal in general?
Since I was 17 years old.
Oh my
actually.
gosh.
Yep.
Now, walk us through that. what drew you to paranormal, and what was your first paranormal experience?
So it kind of goes hand in hand. What drew me and my first experience really goes hand in hand together. I'm from Minnesota, and my sister-in-law owned a property called the Mayowood Stone Barn, which, if you're familiar with the Mayo Clinic at all, the biggest hospital, the Mayowood brothers lived on that property. And there's that theory that limestone attracts energy. Well, the whole property was lined with limestone, but the Mayo brothers had killed themselves on that property. They committed suicide.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a lot of like little places. So like how you see 3 buildings here at Braken Fern, there's lots of little houses on the Mayowood property. It's huge. And my sister-in-law was going through a rough time at that time, and there's just bad energy all around. So I decided to step in and help my brother take care of my nieces and my nephews. And that same night, I just had this feeling that I had to look out the window behind me, and I saw this full black figure, just as clear as I'm seeing you right now, walking.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, there shouldn't be anyone walking around. It's like 2:30 in the morning. This property is locked up. If there is anyone on there, we call the police, because it's family owned by my sister-in-law and her parents.
Right.
And, we don't want any strangers on the property at all. And I was just like, okay. And I turned to look back, into the couch, just kind of really confused, and it turned around again, and it was gone. It was just like it disappeared like that. I was like, no human can walk that fast.
Right.
And I didn't really know what it was. I hadn't seen any of these shows then. And then the second thing that really terrified me almost, because I didn't understand it, was this black mass just coming through into the house and going up the stairs where my nephews were sleeping.
No.
Now, I'm a protective uncle.
Of course.
So
of course.
The first thing I did, I bolted up those stairs, and my brother was sleeping next to my nephews. And then I'm like, Brandon, calling my brother's name, and he's like, huh? He's like, what's going on? I was like, what do you mean what's going on? I was like, something's up here with you, someone's up here. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I saw this big black mass go into this room where my nephews are.
Oh my god.
And he just kind of laughed at me. I was like, why are you laughing? It's like, I'm scared to death,
right.
At this point. And so he comes down, he pats the couch next to me, he's like, come sit down. I was like, okay. He's like, you just had a paranormal experience. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, right.
He's like, you know what? So he's really been into it too as well, and he even investigated the property later. We came up with all kinds of evidence, it turns out, on that property that he had acquired, and he told me about it, and I was super fascinated. It just caught me right there, and I was like, now that I understand that, and I was just like, okay, cool, I did my research on the computer.
Good.
And just started from there and did solo investigating for a long time. I ran my own team back in Minnesota. So it was just crazy to be able to... My big thing is educating. I like educating everybody on the paranormal and letting them know 9 times out of 10 it's not going to be something bad. The theory is, if you're miserable in life, you're probably going to be miserable in death.
Of course.
So
of course.
that's the main theory there. So that's really how I got into it and started, and just that experience really locked me in, and I wanted to figure out and find the truth.
Can you agree with me that the Midwest is more haunted than any other place in the planet? There's something up with for our Midwesterners. I mean,
it has to be.
Every ghost story that I've heard from stranger or people that I just had this conversation like yourself, about the paranormal. It's like, well, there's this place in Illinois or Indiana. Bryce can vouch for Ohio as well. So I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's a very common thing, and I didn't realize how common it was until I started to go into research myself and figure out all these locations.
Right.
And it's funny because a lot of them in the Midwest are cemeteries, old cemeteries, just being there for a long time. Some of them being desecrated or bulldozed, for parking lots or whatever. So yeah, the Midwest has a chock full of history there that I like a lot.
So is this your first time at Braken Fern? Because I know this is your second time, because I know that you guys are the reason why Ghost Adventures pretty much investigated here.
Yep, that's very true. They had to ask permission from us
to
investigate the location. Now, that's the story goes from Chris.
Wow.
He's met Zach. Zach's a nice guy. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet. I hope to one day. I help with the locations as well, so sometimes I kind of run into locations they've investigated, and just kind of got to coordinate everything.
Wow. So I did not know that when one team has solely in single-handedly, like investigated a property. Yeah. I didn't know, like, I guess it's just like, it's courtesy to ask that team.
It's kind of like a courtesy call, just more
I had
of a
no
respectful
idea.
thing to do.
Oh, good.
We are a team. We try to be the best team that we can be. We take a lot of pride in being intimate with our guests and really giving them that one-on-one encounter, as from the Owen House and being with us there. That's our pride. Like, that's what our joy is. That interaction with the guests. And I'm actually really excited because Chris is letting me lead my first group.
That is exciting.
Yes.
I remember when I had been asked that too at the Harris house. I'm like, what? It's an exciting and oh my God, flattering, experience.
We have a hierarchy, and so we have a lot of requirements, hours that we have to meet before we get promoted.
Of course.
And that's fair. That's absolutely 100% fair. I'm totally down with it. But we were a little short-staffed this time. I was supposed to be paired up with a gal who couldn't be here, unfortunately, who's been here a few times before, more than I have. So she's kind of going to be like my support guide, basically, to help me out. And I was like, Chris, do you still want to do 4 groups or do you want to do 3? And he's like, no, we'll do 4. And then talking to Andrew, who did logistics, they're having me lead a group tonight. So I'm really excited.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
No matter the hierarchy or seniority, we're always there helping each other and we're always learning from each other.
I noticed that. I get a good vibe from your group. Like, you guys are really great and you're so welcoming. Like, I've met other groups that they were really great and others that were just very intimidating and very closed off, and I didn't have a good experience with them. But you guys really take the time, like, you literally hold people by the hand and guide them through this whole process. I appreciate that. That's amazing.
For me, I've always been that socially awkward person. I was also really shy, like when I was a kid, and now being part of the team has really made me come out of my shell.
Really,
and it's so great.
I would never expect that from you.
I know. I'm proud of myself, to be able to do that and have this experience, and it opens up more doors and opportunities, to really get out there and just try. It's not a matter of succeeding or failing. It's just try it.
Try it.
See how you do.
What is your advice for people that want to get into the paranormal or even start their own paranormal investigation team?
Right. That's a very good question. I'm going to go with Nike's slogan and say, just do it. It's going to take a lot of the research. You're going to have to research, especially if you want to start a team. That was the hardest thing for me, trying to do it back in Minnesota. Thankfully, all my coworkers were really into the paranormal, so my team was right there at work when I worked there. But my biggest thing that I try to tell people is respect the spirits. Respect the entity. That's my biggest pieces of advice that I could give to anyone. I hate these people that try to provoke and do all this stuff, and then of course they're going to cause problems for them, whereas if you're just being nice or you ask a question and they acknowledge it, say thank you, thank you for being here, thank you for acknowledging and making a sound or something, just be respectful. There's no on and off switch, so they're going to come out whenever they want to, and we've had bland investigations where they just don't come out, and that's fine. We're in their territory. So, it's just like,
that's true. That's true. No, you're right. Absolutely. So tell me about this group that you're leading. Is it on a certain level, or are you doing like a third rotation of a certain property here?
It's going to be, we hit, there's 3 buildings on the property.
Where's the other one?
It's way down.
Oh, is that the pool house?
Yeah, the pool house.
That's right. Okay.
The bathhouse that counts. So that's why I love Braken Fern. There's a lot of variety here, along with all the haunted history and stories and just the era of time. It's really cool. So we have a whole schedule of rotations. Rotations will be 30, 45 minutes long, depending. So we're all in 4 groups. We'll just lead and rotate every time someone says, all these places. So it'll be up and down all around the Tudor House over here, all here in Braken Fern, and some of the rooms too. We put in their itinerary. Your room may be subject to investigation. Like, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Because there's, especially here in the Braken Fern, there's a couple rooms that are really, the great stories.
I loved that on the website, on your website, because this is so cool about this investigation is that you get to spend the night here. And I love how you guys rated like the activity, like
highly active. Or if you want a good night's sleep, you could sleep in like the fern room or something.
And, coming here last year for my first year, I got to spend the night here and sleep in 2 of the rooms.
Which one were they?
So Jasmine and Ivy.
I read about the Ivy room, bro.
I love Ivy is my favorite because it's the little boy that's there, and we brought toys. He likes toys, and we set him up a certain way, and we woke up the next morning and they were all changed. It was so cool, and I was like, thanks, Ryan. That's his alleged name that we figured out. Thanks, Ryan. We appreciate you, messing with the toys and playing with them. Like, I hope you enjoyed them, and we'll leave them there for the day or whatever. Jasmine is the most notorious room of the manor, where, this was a whole prohibition period.
Right.
So you have the mob coming in, and some not so nice things happened to a gentleman named Ralph. He got tossed out of the window of the Jasmine room.
Yes, that's what Dixie was telling me earlier.
Ran over multiple times for good measure.
Of course.
So we've done a variety of experiments in that room. I happened to be caught. It was kind of a wrong place, wrong time, caught with our investigator Mike in that room last year, sort of in the crosshairs. A lot of energy was going on in that room.
Really?
So it was really crazy. So Braken Fern
was it like bad or good, or it was just off?
For me, everything I've experienced is pretty neutral.
Okay.
So it's not which way, but I'm also kind of like off in La La Land half the time.
Right.
That healthy skeptic that's, trying to, disprove something.
Right.
Not everything is paranormal.
It was just the wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's phone, most likely someone's
it's like,
phone.
Oh, maybe it's just the piece of equipment giving off too much EMF.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'm experiencing some crazy
feeling.
So.
Has, like from the last group, did everyone come out with an experience or a story?
Pretty much, yeah.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
I mean, it's so great. The best thing to hear, which is why I'm really excited that you're here, is a lot of our guests are return guests.
I met a few of them from David's house, and they remembered me, and I was so happy to meet them again.
So
they were such great people, good energy, good folks.
Exactly, and that's what we do. Like, that energy kind of determines the night too.
Yes.
So, if you have a bunch of energy and you're really excited and you're wanting
to
engage, then, that it will bring out that activity.
It will.
You won't be disappointed. Braken Fern has not let me down as far as I've talked to anyone on the team. It hasn't let anyone else down. I've had some crazy experiences here that's just great.
We'll give all of us that one experience that just like it repeats over and over, like a residual haunting in your mind.
Pretty much. Oh man. So last year here I was a solitary attendant because we do our awesome solitary thing. It's kind of like our fun perk when you come. So we escort a guest down to a location, and they're there in the dark completely with their radio by themselves.
Oh, that's right. You guys are going to do that drawing.
Yes, we're doing that tonight. And tonight's actually different. We're doing it with blindfolds.
Based on what a lot of our listeners have seen on the Ghost Adventure show, is there a demon? Is there a negative presence or energy in the basement?
No.
There you go, guys.
100% no. And that's where I did my solitary, where I escorted my guests, was in that same location where Zach said that, there was that kind of negative entity.
There's nothing there. Nope. That was for the show, huh?
Yeah,
most likely, probably.
I mean, I get it. I'm not discrediting anything, that you guys are saying, but, it just doesn't match up sometimes. So
yeah, of course. Now, what is... Oops. There's a car.
Very squeaky car.
A very squeaky car that looks like it's not even put together right. What is the most active room? Is it the Jasmine, or it's just the Jasmine? Not the basement? No. Okay.
I mean, every kind of location and building on the property have their different spots that are really active. So the Tudor House has been the stage. You can imagine back then there was a lot of performances. It's a dining area, a restaurant.
Right.
So there's so much energy and a lot of people there. The bathhouse, just the downstairs bathhouse. I haven't really been up there in the upstairs area on rotation, which I get to do tonight, so that's really cool. just downstairs, and hearing things or hearing noises is a very common thing. Like, that's the most common thing we probably get here, is hearing voices, or you get tapped or touched or something. So, but as far as the manor, it's definitely the Jasmine Room. That's kind of the gold nugget, if you will.
Who's spending the night there?
No one is. It's actually up for, it's the investigative spot, and it's also one of the solitary locations for tonight.
Oh my gosh.
After tonight, we will have 2 of our team members staying in the Jasmine Room. I was supposed to, but for personal reasons, I had to leave early in the morning.
Right.
So Andrew will be staying overnight in the Jasmine Room. He hasn't had an experience in there yet. It's just that kind of fun, that goes back to that on and off switch again.
Yeah.
Some of us do. We all do, during an investigation, have some kind of experience in that Jasmine.
Oh,
and then
wow.
when we go to sleep at night, it's like, okay. we sleep soundly. So.
They already had their fun with us, so they're leaving us alone. They're like, you guys took a lot of energy out of us. Yeah. Well, that excites me. I can't wait to even venture through the room.
It's so great.
Just to let you know, my co-host Bryce is waiting comfortably in a car in front of an In-N-Out Burger in LA. He wanted to show up, but no, honestly, he had a lot of work to do with a show that he's in. So he is here technically in spirit, no pun intended. So.
That's good. I'm glad he's here in spirit.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you one last question. What is your devices of choice when you go into an investigation? I've asked all the other investigators, like, what are their 3 top devices of choice?
So, of course, mine's going to be the same as a lot of some. The digital recorder is the number one thing that you can bring that you're almost guaranteed some kind of evidence. At almost every location I've been to on the team, on my own team in Minnesota, I've had some audio come through, and that's, the gold there. And just audio evidence is amazing. Laughter, children playing, voices. My second device that I like is what Mike has, is the portal device. So playing the word bank backwards in Latin, and so if a spirit comes through, it's going to say it in English so you can understand it. We've had a lot of success with that device, actually.
I've seen that device. So, it's really kick-ass.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's like probably my top favorite piece, actually.
It looks really cool.
Every time I'm with Mike,
it looks really serious.
Like every time I'm with Mike, let's do the portal. And then thirdly is something that I brought onto this investigation that no one else has at the moment. A compass.
Interesting. Just explain why.
So I got it from a gentleman named Harry Price. He is a very well-known investigator back in like the 50s, 1950s, 1900s, that kind of thing. So there wasn't, all that technology back then. So what are you going to use to catch a ghost? And a compass, it won't get interfered with by the electromagnetic field. And it's so light.
That's true.
And simple.
You don't have to worry about having its batteries drained.
Exactly. It's so light and simple. So, it won't be a lot of energy to try to get it to spin around.
Yes. So don't use the compass on your phone. Use an actual one, guys.
Use an actual compass. You can get them for like $2, $5.
That's true.
They're really cheap. So I'm really excited to introduce that to my group. They're probably going to get a kick
I'm learning something too. That's a really cool. I mean, you're the first one to have mentioned that.
Yeah, they're probably going to get a kick out of it because
that's
a compass
cool.
is something we kind of now consider really retro and old fashioned.
Yeah, well, like a pendulum. Just kick it old school with your pendulum and compass now. Like you could. I mean, do you ask whatever's in presences in the space with you? Like, hey, can you turn the dial left? Can you turn it clockwise?
Exactly.
Is that how you? Ask it to manipulate it?
Yeah, so
smart.
I will allow my guests to have the opportunity to hold the compass so they can see it, eyesight, and just watch it and see, if it goes out of control. And so I'm really excited to see if I get any hits on that tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of great stories.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Well, thank you so much, Anthony.
Yeah,
thank you for having Hollyweird Paranormal here, for allowing me to talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
I love and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, love what you guys do, your education, everything. It's amazing.
I appreciate
it. I'm very I'm a big fan of you guys.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
Respect and education seems to be the theme with OC Ghosts and Legends, and that's something that I really admire about this group. that's always their theme whenever they investigate in a location such as Braken Fern Manor, is a level of respect for each other and a level of respect for those that we can't see. But the biggest question that I had to ask all the members of the OC Ghosts and Legends crew was this, and it was something that I did see on the Baggins show. Is there really a demon in the basement? Because that's what I noticed on episode 3 and season 12 of Ghost Adventures. According to Zach Baggins, or the Baggins, there's supposedly a bad presence, a demon in the basement, that left scratches on certain individuals. And according to OC Ghosts and Legends, the answer is no. There's nothing there that's negative, but there is something that makes his presence known. As we make our way to the Tudor House, we are prepared with an orientation by Chris August to give us a good background and history on Braken Fern Manor, along with a great grounding ceremony that was given by Dixie Tantardini, because protection is key, as we learned earlier in this episode. And then I made my way to a gentleman by the name of Roger, another member of the OC Ghosts and Legends crew. And here is his interview.
My name is Roger Woodcock.
And how long have you been with OC Ghosts and Legends?
A little over 4 years.
4 years. Mm-hmm. And tell me, what got you into the paranormal, and then what got you into, being a paranormal investigator?
My mother was a sensitive. She was Osage Indian, half, and so I'm American Indian descent, and very much a naturalist, a spiritual person, and I've always had my own belief systems, and I've had a lot of personal experiences on my own before I joined the team. I'm also what we call a believer skeptic. I don't believe everything's a ghost. I believe that sometimes life, you generate what you want to believe, and it may not be factual, it may not be, what actually happened. So one of my jobs with the team is to debunk as much as I possibly can, and I'll spend hours trying to disprove something. There's lots of things I can't disprove, but about personal experiences and all, everybody's experience is their own, so you don't want to take that away from them. But if I can explain that weird sound you heard, I'm going to give you these what I think it is. This is what I think it could have been. Take what you want with that.
Yeah.
So this team is very open. We try just about anything out there, science-wise and not science-wise. I mean, I've had some things where I was like, oh, this is really kind of stupid from a tech perspective, and then had my eyes opened up by something that's happened. I give you an experience such as we have this thing called a boo bear. And people that are in the paranormal world know what a boo bear is. It's basically a REM pod inside of a teddy bear, essentially. Right. And we were here last year with it, and I had a group. I was just kind of tagging along with a group, and they're up there. We're in the second floor of the manor. The boo bear's been pre-placed up there, and they go, "It's moving," and I'm like 5 yards away from. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, sure it is. I'm very, very skeptical about it, and I walk up to it, and that son of a, looks like somebody's actually slowly squeezing it in the middle because it kind of bends over, just enough that it's visually detective. It kind of bends over and stands back, kind of like somebody's squeezing in the middle of it, and almost like it was breathing. So that kind of freaked me out because here I am. There's 4 or 5 people who are also seeing it. Mika was one of them, the team member as well. They're all seeing it, and I'm seeing it. I'm like, okay, now that kind of freaked me a little bit. I was like, what's making this? My first instinct was, let's cut the son of a bitch open and see what the hell's making it move, because why is this thing moving all of a sudden? And then it repeated later on. It wasn't just that one event. So things like that, you think, you come up with your pre notions of what's real and what's not real, and then you have your eyes open by a group experience. Right. You can't just discount I think I was seeing things. Everybody saw it. So right. Those are valuable. That's short of getting it on video with 2 different video cameras simultaneously. That's probably the most valuable thing in a paranormal evidence is when you have a group that all experienced it.
Right, you have more than one pair of eyes. Right. You have that accreditation.
And all different walks of life.
Right.
Like I said, so that's next to the Holy Grail is 2 different video cameras catching something. That's a Holy Grail.
Right.
That's second to it.
Were you part of the group when they first investigated Braken Fern?
Yes.
Tell me about that experience.
The first inaugural Braken Fern, we came up here not knowing more than just the history on it. The fun part was I actually came up here with my girlfriend at the time a couple weeks prior, incognito, because at that time the ownership that was here there was really pushing the paranormal, and we want to make sure they're not just pushing the paranormal.
Right.
So we actually came up here incognito and had some very powerful experiences in our room. I was up most of the night with things being thrown. It sounded like a wooden shoe being thrown against the bedroom wall on the hallway. Another couple had checked in shortly after we did, and we were still in the lobby when they did. So we thought they were doing something, whatever. And the Manor at that time was kind of weird because nobody from the staff spent the night at the Manor. They left at 10. And we didn't know that either until the next morning. So we were up a lot of the night with bangs and knocks. And I actually brought an EVP, a digital recorder with me, and had it recording, so we got all of it on track. But we had kind of written it off as something going on, So we go to check out in the morning, and we decided we weren't going to say anything to the staff about it because we didn't want to tip our hand about us being a paranormal team. And they said, "How was your night?" And we was good, fine. And he goes, "I didn't think you'd be here in the morning." The other couple checked out shortly after they checked in because they were scared. So we're actually in the Manor by ourselves the whole night, not knowing that.
Oh, wow.
And later on, after talking to some of the staff and the property manager at the time, the building manager at the time, right across the room is where one of the legends is about a person who doesn't like people and throws shoes.
That's not nice.
Yeah, allegedly. And that's what it sounded like. Somebody was throwing something that hit the wall and fall,
Right.
So it was very, very, okay, that's a weird coincidence that was what we thought we heard. And we just thought maybe they were having a bad night or something. And turns out we're the only ones in the darn building, and we had that sound. So that was very eye-opening for us. And we come back, and we had, there's a lot of mixed energies in this place. Nothing like dangerous or ugly, but just all of a sudden you'll get very, very powerful energy. And that's what we had that first experience here, our first investigation here. There was some very eye-opening experiences for a lot of the team members.
Do you think it has something to do with the land or just the energy of the building or just what people brought into that investigation?
I think, generally speaking, not just related to this building only, I think it's all the above. I think geography has something to do with this too. As far as energy lines, ley lines, that's one of the theories out there. I think the history, people always think, oh, it's something with the building. Well, this was also, Native American land for the longest time. We don't know what power that has. I find that areas that are known to be properties or land that was inhabited by Native people seems to have a lot of energy. Might be just because that's what I want, being of Native American background. I don't know, but it always seems like every place we've done, that's part of like San Juan, Black Star Canyon, some of our regular ones. Lots of powerful experiences there. Lots of Native American background.
Of course, because Native American, heritage, a lot of it is spirituality. Like they were big spiritualists. They paid homage to gods and stuff.
Well, and there's no doubt in their mind and their beliefs. There's no like, oh, that's pseudoscience. But that's what they believe. That is it. So there's no question in their mind. It's just a matter of life for them. So I always find that, and this property has some Native American background. The land before it was developed was tribal, and then obviously all the energy with how these buildings were being utilized, why they were built. You also have a natural underground spring that runs through here. That's why this was a speakeasy here at the Tudor House, because part of the moonshining is water supply. Well, your law enforcement looked for pipes, and they knew that was a moonshine operation. No pipes here. This is just a hole in the ground. Here's your natural spring water. So there's some theories about water bringing energy. So there's a lot of possibilities kind of focused into one area here.
Correct. Now you've been investigating for 4 years with OC Ghosts and Legends. As a whole, how long have you been investigating in general?
I wasn't an investigator.
Oh, okay.
As far as with other teams or like this, I was a hobbyist, I guess the best way to put it. I had an interest in it. I had my own belief system. I actually got thrusted into OCGL purely by coincidence.
Oh, wow.
They came to my second job, so to speak, my night job, is I'm a technical director for a community theater in San Juan Capistrano, and they had booked an event there, and the owner and I was only with the theater for like 6 months, whatever at the time, and the owner of the theater said, "Hey, can you just be there that night and support them whatever they need?" And they're doing a little presentation, they need some lights and sound and all that kind of stuff, and that's how I kind of got involved with OCGL. It was like, kind of interesting. I liked what they were saying as far as being open to a lot of different things. And a month later, 2 months later, I was on the team.
Nice.
I just like that, just that little window of opportunity right there.
Yeah. And like I said, I've been doing a lot with the team. Most of the stuff I do is background. I rarely, I come to these events, but most of the time I'm the guy behind the camera doing that kind of stuff. It's just, that's my niche.
Now, you talked about photography. Have you caught any credible evidence on photograph or on digital photograph?
On photos, as a team, we've had a few things. I think our most impactful photograph is probably here. Well, not a photograph, actually a nighttime infrared video.
Oh, wow.
Here at the Manor of a light anomaly. Now, people see the balls and all that stuff. 99.9% of the time, that's dust particles.
Right.
And it's very easily debunked. But we had one particle that was tracking. Not like the other particles. You could see there was not, for a dust particle to show up on the camera, it's right in front of the lens. Even might look like it's actually right in front of the lens. This one, you could see it interact out there with objects, go behind objects and come back around, and it was just tracking, frame. And I did all my usual. I ran different color filters against it. I tried all this different stuff trying to debunk what it was. Could not come up with a solution. I zoomed it in, I digitally enhanced it still and brought it in, and it was like almost like a donut. It was a circle with a hole in the middle of it. And it was just very powerful evidence. Now, we're never going to say it's a ghost. We don't know what this is. It was odd. So that's the other thing. This team never says that's a ghost. We don't know we don't know if these are ghosts. We don't know what this is. That's why this is still pseudoscience. That's why we still just put it all under the paranormal, because we don't know what this is.
Right.
So we just call it ghost because that's what we can grasp. So what this was, I have no idea, but I could not debunk it.
Wow. I've seen that video. It's on your YouTube channel, the OC Ghost and Legend YouTube. Guys, if you go on OC Ghost and Legends, you'll see their videos. And I think it's something like, I think it was like Ralph's room or something. Or
it's down the hall from Ralph's room,
yeah.
It's not
I
the same
remember
floor.
seeing it. And it's very, very, very interesting.
And I created that video. I wanted to show people
what
tools we used to try to debunk this and what we did. So that, again, the Holy Grail is 2 different cameras. Didn't get that because we only had one camera running there, but I wanted to show people the steps we took to try to debunk it and couldn't.
That's amazing. I saw that video, and I'm going to have to find it, guys, to put it on our Instagram, but it's so interesting. Like, you can't explain it at all. It's like, you could tell, like, that's not dust. Dust doesn't glow like that.
It was very bright and focused, very pinpointed. It was very odd.
Wow. Do you have, how about this? What are your pieces of advice for any individuals, hobbyists, or future ghost hunters? Like, what is your advice for them coming into this field?
Be open-minded, but be guarded. There's a lot of people out there that think everything's a ghost, and that's kind of for me, that's the other side of the spectrum.
Right.
Not everything's a ghost. Be careful of psychics. Dixie's great. Most of her stuff I can grab onto, but we've had other psychics in the past that you can tell within 30 seconds that this isn't quite right. Be fair. So getting in the paranormal, you got to be careful of that kind of stuff, and then just be open-minded to the technology. Again, we don't know what we're looking for here. This is all speculation on what this could be or couldn't be. So even though it might seem really far-fetched that this is happening, or the spirit's able to manifest a word in an SB11, a spirit box, and say, we ask a question. We don't know what this is.
Right.
We don't know if there's intelligence behind it. We don't know if it's just random energy. We don't know if it's, get really out there and, parallel universes and all this. We just don't know. Mm-hmm. So be open-minded to it, be intelligent about it, and take a step back, get the emotions out of it, and try to figure out what you just experienced.
To debunk or not to debunk? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of our misinterpretations on what is dust and what is actually an orb. Or maybe if you blink a little bit, you might just see Bigfoot in the background. I mean, it is part of being a paranormal investigator. You have to step into a logical standpoint, and you have to take deeper dives. Not everything is panned out to be a ghost. Now we move forward with the grounding ceremony, and this is where I find it very, very interesting and important for ghost investigations. especially for green investigators that just wander into a location without really protecting and grounding themselves. Because when you walk into the unknown, you have to let whatever's out there known that you mean business, but at the same time, you're protected. Now, here is a grounding ceremony that is given by Dixie Tantardini before we split off into our groups. And I was very fortunate to be placed in her group with the lead investigator and director of OC Ghosts and Legends, Chris August. So here's Dixie Tantardini leading us into a grounding ceremony. And for all you future and green ghost hunters out there, I would really take notes, because this is a very important ceremony to take whenever you set foot into the unknown.
And you can participate if you don't want to. You don't have to. Just ignore me if you don't want to ground. That's totally fine. So this is going to help you feel more secure and more safe, okay? So what we're going to do, we're just going to take a really good deep breath. Let that out. We're going to relax ourselves. One more deep breath. And now what we're going to do is we're going to imagine a root that's coming from your tailbone. So it's their base root chakra. So you're going to imagine a root that's going down deep into the earth, and then it's branching out and clasping onto Mother Earth. Some people might feel some vibrations coming from this. It's just Mother Earth supporting you, nurturing you, and keeping you safe. And then what we're also going to do next is from the soles of your feet, you're going to imagine these roots, and they're going to be going down deep into the earth and grounding you and nurturing you and keeping you safe, okay? All right. Take another deep breath. And you're grounded. So at any point in time, if anybody wants to do this, I do it every single morning just to help me stay focused and calm. So you can do this at any point in time.
It was a dark and stormy night. Seriously, it was a dark and stormy night when we left the Tudor House and made our way to the manor with Chris August and Dixie Tantardini and our group. The fog was really thick, so thick that you couldn't even see the road ahead of you. But you can still make the road out due to the light of the moon. It was a full moon out. We made our way across the streets of the manor. At night, it's a little intimidating. We make our way to the first floor as we started our first session with a round of questions. We heard a couple of knocks in the kitchen, and finally we made our way up the back staircase to the second level, which was quite interesting. According to Dixie, when she did a walkthrough of the manor, one of the presences that made themselves known to her was an older woman that was telling her not to go up the stairs. Don't go upstairs. Why? Because he's there. And we believe that he was Ralph, and Ralph was ready for us. We made our way through the second floor where we felt some activity. We had the REM pod set up along with the cameras and our Boo Bear. We finally make our way to the third floor, straight to the Jasmine room. Already I could feel my heart palpitating. I feel this sense of anxiety. Maybe it's because I already know what to expect in the Jasmine room. But I had this feeling that something was there, and it didn't want us there. Soon we will realize that Ralph was going to make himself known to one of the members of our group. And here's the recording of that session. Now keep in mind that the noise that you'll hear in the background is a spirit box that Chris August is using to lead an investigation in this room. For some of you out there that don't know what a spirit box is a tool that ghost hunters use in an attempt to make communication with paranormal entities. It uses radio frequency sweeps to generate white noise, which theory suggests gives some entities the energy they need to be heard. And when this occurs, you'll hear something like voices or sounds coming through the static in an attempt to communicate. First, we don't collect anything. We do hear something in the background, but we can't make it out. But then it's followed by knocks. And I think I collected something of an EVP during the session. Listen closely. It sounds like someone is saying, take a baby step. But then it's followed with an eerie presence that makes itself known to one of our guest members, Celine.
What was that?
Yeah, I heard a bang.
From the bedroom. Mm-hmm. You know, it came from the window. Did you guys hear that over here? It wasn't you guys moving in the bed?
No, it was a bang. I heard it too at 9:55.
I felt like I heard it from the window. It was just me.
I just heard it on this side of the room.
Do that again. What's your problem, Ralph? Did you have a problem with me? I mean, you actually made me walk out of this place. I've never done that before. Do you have a problem with us being here?
Oh my god.
What happened?
You okay?
Did someone just laugh?
There was people outside.
Okay.
I think. What happened? You alright?
9:56.
I saw somebody
Where?
right next to me.
Like to the left, to the right?
Right here.
We can't see you. Where?
Right or left?
To my right.
What did you see?
By the window?
I saw like somebody crouched out next to me.
Like sitting?
Yes.
Can you describe them?
Just ahead. Like the outline shadow.
Who is that?
Oh,
Did you feel an adult, a child?
adult.
Male?
It's a
woman?
man. It's a man. He's looking at me. He's looking at me.
Do you have a problem with us being in here? What's your problem? I want to know what your problem is. If you want us to leave this room, let us know. Do something. Make a statement. Tell us you want us out of here.
Make a noise or something. Stupid.
You okay? Okay, let's give them a chance to come in here. We're going to the second floor. Come with us. Come on.
Here's the audio again, guys. I could be wrong. It could be someone in the group, but I don't remember anyone whispering during this time. Here it is again. Could this be Ralph warning us to take baby steps or to tread lightly when we're in his room? Who knows? But he definitely made his presence known to Celine. We make our way down to the second floor, and then finally we get to the cellar. Now that's where things really picked up for us. It was pretty active. I have a recording of what happened after we heard what we thought was Boo Bear in the room. We heard what sounded like the Boo Bear going off or laughing, and there was no one around with the Boo Bear. The Boo Bear was currently in the second floor, and Chris August had notified Andrew to see if the Boo Bear was on. Nothing. And then it happened. I saw my first apparition, and I had someone sitting behind me to validate. I don't know what it was, but I was feeling so drained from being in the Jasmine room that I felt like I was kind of falling asleep. You see, the cellar is pretty dark and cold, and I think for me, the energy was all sucked out. And maybe whatever was trying to make its presence known was trying to tell me to wake up. And it surely woke me up. It just looked like a white cream-like figure. that just came around from the banister and almost got in my face. I could make out a nose, a pair of eyes, and as I jumped, the gentleman behind me validated that he saw the same thing. The thing with the cellar is something very interesting. That's the entrance to the Prohibition tunnels.
But we all heard of that.
We all heard it? Yeah, let's play that now.
Oh, wait, Andrew's made
Is there someone standing on the outside of yours?
Andrew's out there.
Across the doors?
Yeah, because I heard it again, but this time it sounded distant.
That's me putting the report right there.
George got questions.
Yep.
Wait.
Guys, what were we doing that was getting these responses? What were we talking about? What were we asking? Ralph, we were talking about asking about ears. We were talking,
I wonder if they had something to do with Ralph's death.
hold on, what was that?
See, I heard it. Did you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Go back again.
Yeah,
Was that you? Was that me? I don't remember. George, was that you?
Sorry, delete it. It was kind of like here. Oh, they keep making a new recording. This is embarrassing. Okay. This is my first time using the app, okay?
That's okay.
So new.
This is the world of technical difficulties. Believe me, it is not so.
Hold on, what was that? What was that?
Oh, Greg was
That's
warning.
different.
George got questions. Guys, what were we doing that was getting these responses? What were we talking about? What were we asking? Ralph, we were talking about asking about ears. We were talking,
It was a.
Yeah.
They had something to do with Ralph's death.
hold on, what was that?
That was hard to hear that time.
Yeah, it didn't stand up. What did we notice happened just before that happened?
I don't know if they would keep listening to it, but
What did we notice that happened just moments before that took place? A passing car just came by. So it's as if it's circulating something. It's energizing. So I don't know if it's pure coincidence. I
Well,
don't
that
know.
it's moving energy.
Moving energy.
So like with the water,
There's
it's
something over there.
moving. Oh, is it
Up
moving
there.
energy?
Do you
Or
smell? Do you smell it?
What?
is the car moving energy that's
Smoke?
making you guys
Smells like-
be able to talk? Well, now that I'm paying attention to it, it doesn't.
Well, maybe the answer is no.
Is it not the car that brings you energy? Does it have anything to do with the car passing?
We need more cars.
Do we need more cars passing?
Somebody get out and go run their car back before I I totally would right now.
Fortunately, one of the members of the group had the recorder going on and picked up on the laughter, which is something that we reviewed as you listen to the audio. We could hear it clear as day, what sounded like the Boo Bear going off, almost like if it was laughing. Then you hear Chris August make a really, really good statement, a hypothesis, and this is their theory. Whenever there's a moving car that drives past the manor, it seems like it just ignites whatever energies are there. Energy feeds off of energy, and nowadays a lot of these cars are electronic cars, so every time a car passes by the manor, it seems like some sort of activity is heightened by that car passing by. The manor is right next to a busy street, so there's always a constant movement of traffic. Not only that, but there's also the water theory, how water is a source of energy for entities to feed off of. And there is a spring that runs beneath Braken Fern, which could be the reason why there's hauntings. After a successful session in the cellar, we headed towards the Tudor House for a 30-minute coffee break. It was much needed since it was a very, very cold night. It was 38 degrees in Lake Arrowhead, and it was still storming and foggy. I was able to sit down with one of the members of our group and constant OC Ghosts and Legends patron, Celine, and her family, and we had a really interesting discussion. It turns out that Celine and her family attracts a lot of entities, and here's our interview with Celine.
Okay, guys, so I'm sitting here with a family, actually. So I have, Mom? Celine. Oh, Celine. Francisco. And this is this your son over here?
Yeah, my son. Yeah, solitary.
And is this your girlfriend or sister? Girlfriend. Oh, so this is really cool that you guys participate in a paranormal ghost hunt as a family.
I got them started.
You got them started. How long have you been participating with OC Ghosts and Legends?
We met them in 2016, but we started last year here at the Braken Fern.
Oh wow! Now, did you experience a lot more than what you just experienced now?
No. This has definitely been the most. Yeah.
Now, I met you at David Oman's house, and you felt a lot of things over there that it seems like it's like continuing over here. Are you very sensitive to the paranormal, or have you seen apparitions or things growing up?
I did. When I was little, back in Mexico, I swear I saw La Llorona.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. We were at the ranch with my aunt, and she was getting water from the well. And I wandered off, I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. I wandered off to where there used to be a river going by, so it was a riverbank. And as I was standing there, I saw a shadow, big shadow, like walking by. And there was little shadows behind it.
Oh my God.
So when I saw it, they were like floating, like along the river. And when I saw them, they like stopped, and it's like they turned to look at me, and I felt like they were calling me to go with them.
Hell no.
Yeah, and I couldn't move. I was frozen in fear. And my aunt kept calling me, "Let's go, it's time to go." And I was like, "Oh my God, please come pull me, because I was so scared. And she did. She grabbed me, by the arm. I said, "Get over here." And she was so mad at me. I was like, "Oh, thank God you pulled me."
She didn't see anything, but you did.
Yeah, she didn't know. She didn't see it. But in that same ranch, my grandma got slapped by a woman that came out of the stove back then because she was crying. And she swears it was La Llorona too.
Oh my God. Wow, that's an intense paranormal story. Can you walk us through what you experienced? You had a very intense experience in the Jasmine room, and even you recounting the story, I could hear your voice trembling. Can you walk us through what you experienced?
Yeah, I feel a little more better now, but yeah. So when we were there, I felt like I couldn't sit at the bed. I just felt like I needed to sit on the floor, and I did. And when I sat there, I felt like something next to me, like a presence, and I kept feeling to see if it was my son that was there, because he was the one closest, but he was very far, not even with my arms extended, I could feel him. So then, all of a sudden, I turn and there's a man shadow looking right at me, just facing me. It scared me.
Yeah.
So I turned around and I didn't want to see it, but I could feel it, and I could look at it from my corner of my eye that it was still there, and it just stayed there, just looking at me.
You mentioned that it was a sense of intimidation.
Yeah, intimidation, or he was just looking at me curious or wanting me to go out, but he was holding his ground.
How did you feel in that room?
I feel like it's tense, but no more than that. But
yeah. Have you ever felt like that anywhere else in your past tours?
Yeah, last time when we on the Oma house, I saw kind of like a face, like in a flash, like my hair, but it's like blurry, it's like really fast. It's like a ball. Now, when we were in the hallway, when we going in the hallway, I turned around and I saw that like really fast and disappear, like in a blink. Yeah.
You had an intense experience there too, but not at the Omen house, the house next door, right?
Well, I initially felt something in the living area of the Omen house. We were there, and I just felt like I had to get out. I couldn't breathe. We were all there, and I think Chris was feeling it too. And
is your son going into solitary? Sorry, guys.
Yes, he is.
Oh my God! So
to the bathhouse.
You guys have heard before that they are doing like rounds of solitary confinement in highly active rooms, and your son is one of them.
Well, my name got picked the first time that we got here. The first time that we came here last year, and then this time my name got picked again, so I gave it to him.
Coincidence. I think they just want to get you alone.
Not gonna happen. Not for now. I'm building up to it.
Actually, we are. We're like we want the feeling that because my son, he wants to go. We got like kind of like
feeling that we're
gonna pick, you know.
Now, is your son also sensitive? Does he have the same?
Three boys.
Okay.
When he was little, all of them, they have all those spirits.
They've had experiences when they were little. But then when he was never been afraid. Since he was little, he would always, be in the dark by himself and not afraid. But then he kind of stopped seeing stuff like around 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
And for confirmation, the lights just blinked.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So he's been wanting to have another experience, and this is why he wanted to experiment it here.
Do you guys have fun on, taking these tours through OC Ghosts and Legends? You always come out wanting to do more events with them?
Yes, definitely more. The first time we came here, he didn't know we were staying at the haunted hotel. He said, "When do we get to go to our hotel?" I'm like, "We're here."
He's like, "Great."
And he was like, "What? You didn't tell me that." I'm like, "Well, that's the only way to get you here."
What rooms are you guys staying in the hotel, and what are their stories?
Daisy and Dahlia.
Are those the highly active ones? Or?
They're not highly active, but they're on the second floor where there's a lot of activity.
Right.
The first time when we stayed here, we stayed in the Ivy room.
Yeah.
Where there's been, I guess, something has happened with the little boy named Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah. And we couldn't sleep there that first night.
No way.
Yeah.
What were you feeling? You were just feeling anxiety, or just sense of like tense?
I could swear that the walls were vibrating.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I do feel stuff. I've always felt stuff, and I can always tell when there's something there. Like when we moved to a new house, I could feel there's energy.
Yeah.
And so far we've been good. I'm like, oh, there's nothing here. And yeah.
I had this discussion with Larry earlier about paranormal and the Latino community. In your opinion, I mean, how do those two worlds meet? Like,
yeah, I noted that like more, where we are Latinos, we have more of the experience in Mexico. Everybody, like here in America, they're like they don't believe it.
Do you feel that the Latino community is more open to the paranormal? That's why you guys experience so much?
Yeah, I think because there's more like stories and legends and stuff that's happened over there.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of people go by it. They swear by it and they believe in it. And I think that's why there's more. There's duendes, there's witches, there's La Llorona, there's Chupacabra, the dog that turns into a woman.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah,
it's like a werewolf, or
no, the people become like an animal. Is
shapeshifters, or
shapeshifter. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
oh wow.
It becomes into a big black dog with red eyes. Oh. And that's really, they really believe that. You know, like we believe it over there, like it exists. The duendes plays with kids. I had one time I saw a duende. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yeah.
It's like a little short person.
Yeah, like
yeah. Well, where we lived, it was a vecindad. It's like a little neighborhood where there was only one restroom out, like in the back, and in the middle there was a well.
Oh wow!
So I don't know why, but I was there at nighttime, and I came out, and it was sitting on the well, telling me to come.
Oh hell
come.
no!
Yeah, he's like come. I couldn't move. I froze.
Once again, like La Llorona, you're just like I froze, and I just
stay there until my sister came and told me, "What are you doing? You know, get back inside." I was like, "Oh my god! Like, thank God, you know."
Yeah.
But yeah, we've enjoyed it. That experience that I had at the Omen House, the next door to the Omen House.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very. I felt like I was gonna pass out.
Oh wow.
And I just felt like I couldn't breathe. Like,
yes.
It was choking me.
Yeah.
And then I remember walking into a room and I experienced a sharp pain in my stomach.
Oh my god.
And I don't know, somebody said that there's, I guess people report that stabbing pain. So that's what I felt.
Yeah, you're not the only one. We had a girl a month ago that felt those like pains in her chest and her stomach.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're not the only one that's felt.
Yeah,
that
validated what I was feeling.
Yeah.
I heard that, so I hadn't heard it before. So,
like in every house we live in, we have all the time experience. We were sleeping, you know.
She was mentioning,
Yeah, like we just moved into this house. We just have like almost 3 months. We don't have anything yet experience, you know. But the house before this one, we have a lot of experience, you know. Like one time. I wake up in the middle of the night, I don't know what time, and I just wake up, you know, and I'm trying to get, you know, to like, acomodarme otra vez, you know, ¿cómo se dice?
Go back to sleep.
Like, and I feel some steps by my foot.
Oh no.
Because it's all wood. But on my mind, it says it's a little boy. You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah, when
you could sense that, and it was like a child.
Yeah, like I feel like a child. And when my mind said like that's a child, when I said a child, like a boy, you can hear right away goes next to my bed and do on the mattress like really fast like this with the hands.
No.
I can hear next to me, but I don't want to open my eyes because I was so scared, you know.
Right.
And I start praying, and stop. And yes, and sometimes I feel like wake up. So that happens when I wake up, you know.
Yeah.
I just wake up and try to go to sleep. I hear a ground like next to my ear, like a dog or something, you know. It was like really scary.
Oh my god, that sounds really scary. Yeah. Oh my goodness, would you consider your family haunted?
No, I mean we don't live in fear. We don't think about it. Just I think we you know, I know definitely my grandma has had experiences. My mom is intuitive, so I feel like I got it from them. And out of her 4 kids, I'm the only one.
Wow.
So
you're like great.
yeah, and it's just like, you know, my grandma, my mom's the only one from their kids, and I'm the only one from my mom's kids. So somebody's gonna continue it. But yeah, definitely intuitive. I feel people's energy too.
Wow. And you definitely feel a lot of energy here, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Like good or bad?
Interesting energy.
It's neutral.
Yeah, like safe. Yeah. I don't know, like, you know, sometimes like I ask him like, can you feel it? Because I literally would put my hand on the wall.
Yeah.
It feels like it's vibrating.
Oh wow.
And
that's pretty intense.
Yeah. When Dixie did that, you know, grounding.
Yeah.
I really felt like all the vibration in my body.
Wow.
And that was very like powerful because I hadn't felt that. Like when they're telling you to do this and breathe and, you know, become with the earth.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
feel it more
Yeah.
than everybody else because you're more sensitive.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Well, thank you so much for participating in my little interview, and happy ghost hunting.
Yes.
And sweet dreams. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we get some sleep.
I'm sure you will, sort of. Thank you, guys.
According to Celine's son, he went to solitary confinement inside the pool house and came out with nothing. He said it was actually pretty quiet. As for the other gentleman that went into solitary confinement in the Jasmine room, he told all of us afterwards that he couldn't even make it past the front door. It was as though someone or something was telling him that he wasn't welcome there, and his gut was telling him that it wasn't safe to go in that room at that time. Now for the best part, we ended up staying in the Tudor House to continue our investigation before entering the basement. I felt that this was the most active part of our investigation besides the Jasmine and also the cellar. Here's where we picked up an EVP of a woman laughing. In the background of our session, you'll hear Chris August talk. However, in this session, we used another device. I was actually really excited. We were using the portal box, which was created by Mr. Huff, I like to call him. It's a device that enhances EVP on a scale previously unheard of, and the portal cleans, enhances, isolates, and in my opinion, encourages EVP in comparison with the spirit box. You see, the spirit box has that choppy white noise sound that you normally hear, but with the portal box, it eliminates it by running it through the portal, and it just leaves the voices themselves. So you just get the voices and not the static. And it's the only way to get a clear, good voice box session. And we definitely heard something that was not coming from that portal box, but outside of it, and we couldn't explain it. Here it is.
Are you mob? We're calling you out.
What's your name?
I can see you.
I keep hearing something that says see. Like see you or see.
I can see you.
Yeah, I keep hearing I can see like.
We don't see you. Show yourself. Where are you?
Oh my god. There's people sitting in every single one of those chairs over there. They're just like mocking us, like, we're doing what you're doing. Like,
Alright, come over here.
yeah.
Think it's funny?
You hear yeah? Still yeah?
Alright, come over here. What are you doing over there?
Don't hit me in the face anymore.
Oh, I just saw it. I'm seeing some movement over there.
Yeah, because they're coming over.
Come on. They're flying on the table. Do you see it?
Yeah.
I see the K2s are going on the table. We should have set them up right.
You still can?
Yeah, I saw
You
something.
can see illumination on the table.
Do you have a name? Tell me your name.
Are you coming over here? What's going on over here? Come on.
Can you help us?
I'm not even like paying attention.
Is it over?
Car.
Yeah, there's a car going by. You say my name?
Yeah,
Just say
I
my
just
name.
heard Dixie and I just saw something move over
I heard
there.
like it's my name too. What? What do you want?
Did you hear that?
Celine. Celine? Did you say Celine?
Yes.
Okay, what's your name? You know our name.
What's my name?
problem because Chris is over there? You don't want him there because you guys are hanging out? How many of you guys are here?
What the hell is that? Did you guys hear laughing? Laughing. Did you guys hear that? Who's recording? Anyone?
I am.
Tag that 3 seconds.
Now here's the laughing again. And one more time for good measure. Both Chris and I heard it clear as day. It was a woman in the background laughing. We believe that the laughter was coming from the restroom area. But that part of the Tudor house that night was highly, highly active. I was even seeing shadow figures on stage, and according to Dixie, they were there kind of mocking us. So the ghosts of the Tudor house and Braken Fern Manor have personalities, I guess you can say. We continued our investigation down in the basement, and the basement was actually really creepy. You can actually see the actual prohibition bottles that they used back in that era to move the hooch. And just an FYI, guys, no demon. We didn't see or feel or get any scratches, to my knowledge, down in the basement. The basement was definitely creepy, I must say. But we made our way from the basement to the pool house, and that's where we made what we thought we made communication with the 12-year-old boy, or the newsy boy that may have been working for the mob back in the day. It was a great way to end our investigation in the pool house, and then we made our way back to the Tudor house to do a Q&A, to share our experiences, and a lot of people had a lot of experiences. We wrapped everything up around 2:15, and then I finally got a chance to sit with Chris August for our post-mortem. So here's our interview with Chris August.
All right, guys, so we're doing a post-mortem with Chris August, who is the head honcho of OC Ghosts and Legends, and it's about 2:30. We just wrapped up with our final notes and what we all discovered at Braken Fern. Compared to your first night here, like, was this a very active night? Or one of your most?
It never disappoints. Mm-hmm. We never leave here disappointed. It's never happened. Mm-hmm. We're always leaving here with stuff happening, but I can't really rate it. There was experiences everywhere. And even though a certain group may not have had the same experiences as another group, there were experiences in different places nonetheless. And some were similar. Mm-hmm. So we're never let down.
No, absolutely simple. Not.
Yeah.
That is so true. Anthony, one of your investigators, mentioned that someone always walks out of Braken Fern with the experience. I, for myself, can say that 100%. So what did you feel tonight compared to other nights?
It sounds like for me tonight, it was heavy on disembodied voices.
Wow.
Being in the cellar,
yes.
the laughter of what we thought was Boo Bear was not. And then here in the Tudor house, I was so excited. And maybe not everybody agrees with me, but we caught it, and you caught it on audio, and I hope you don't lose that.
No, I emailed it to myself.
Did you really? Already?
Yes.
You clipped it?
Yeah, I clipped it and everything. I want to enhance the sound and everything as best as I could.
Yes.
But yes, that was.
I was pumped for that. Seriously,
that was exciting.
I don't know. You heard my excitement. I was
yeah.
so excited.
You were
for
even
that.
more excited that we caught it on recording.
I know. There are those moments where I know what I heard. Mm-hmm. I was confident about it. I'm not convinced it came from the portal.
Right.
I'm going to analyze it, and much like you're going to dissect it as well. I'm not convinced it came from the portal. I heard it from the opposite side of the room, over here on this wall.
Right.
But that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Not everybody has to agree with me, and I'm going to take it for what it was. I heard it. It was a child, and man, I'm still kind of high about that. It's not often that stuff happens, and when you hear it in real time,
mm-hmm.
and then it translates on the audio, that's best case scenario.
Right.
And we got it. We got it.
And I mean, that was something that can someone try to debunk, or no? Like, because we had other people that heard it too. And I mean, that's another form of validation.
And we're going to be able to, once we dissect it, sometimes things sound a lot better in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you listen back when you're kind of more, you're relaxed, you've reflected on the night a week later.
Right.
2 weeks later.
Right.
You reflect and you're like, well, you know what? Maybe that's not what I think I heard.
Right.
Or you validate, like, yep, I stand by it. That's I know that. Yep, no question about it. And I'm hoping that's going to be my reaction when I listen to it. I like to sit on it. Mm-hmm. So I'll still be on a high from it when I get home, and I'm gonna be pumped about it. I'll listen to it over and over and just get really excited again and relive the moment, and then I'll let it sit for weeks.
Talk to me about the Jasmine room. A lot of people had a lot of interesting feels and experiences in that room, and I know that you had a very intense experience your first time, right?
Oh yeah, it was a pretty. I don't want to. I mean, it sounds dramatic by saying it was life altering, because. Mm-hmm. But when I say altering, meaning it was in my career in this field, it was something that really confused me, and at the moment, it was so foreign of an experience that I didn't know what to do with it. And walking into that room and having just that feeling of anxiety, and that I needed to get out. I've never walked out of an investigation, and I haven't since. There are things that startle me, but I've never left. And in that video, which we have on YouTube, you can view it. Anybody can look at it, where we have the actual DVR footage of I'm putting my foot down, I'm going upstairs and saying, hey, you can't mess with my friends. I was really confident, and I didn't feel threatened. I'm like, this is silly. Come on. So, this whatever happened made another investigator cry. Wow. And I, as a friend, I said, this is awful. I mean, you can't do that. If there was a spirit, you're not allowed to do that. So, come on. You got something to say, you come through me. Yeah, I bolted.
We'll find that video, guys, and put it on Instagram. I mean, but you had a gentleman here who was picked for the solitary in that room, and he couldn't even sit in that room. He had to stand out by the door.
Yeah, sorry, my back was hurting. Our solitary guy, he didn't even walk in the door, and that's never. I mean, we don't really get. Generally, we have a lot of women who pick up on whatever's going on in Jasmine. But this guy I guess he was told to respect that I'm not wanted here.
Right.
And whoever was in there, we can call him Ralph, but said, look, pal, you're not coming in here. And that's the way it's going to be.
Wow.
And this guy said, I respected it, and I did not. I didn't walk through that threshold. I did not cross that barrier.
Is that the theme of tonight, you think, was respect?
I can't speak. I didn't necessarily experience anything profound in Jasmine tonight, but other people did. Doesn't mean because I didn't experience it, doesn't mean it didn't happen. So what I think the theme is that intimidation.
Okay.
Intimidation was the theme in Jasmine tonight. Like there being, I don't want to not provoke. That is not the word I'm looking for.
No.
They were as if you're kind of being stared down by a bully. You know, it's
that sense of superiority.
Yeah.
Like, we run this house, we run this. You're gonna have to abide by our rules, kind of thing.
Yeah, or just one of our guests had the feeling that they were being. Something was sitting next to them and just stared him down in the face.
Yes, Celine. Yeah, we have her interview recorded.
Oh, good. So she told that? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear it in her voice when she first was explaining it in that room to us. Like,
she had a hard time, communicating what she saw. It was very intense. Like, she sat on the bed next to me, and then she had to sit down on the floor, and boom, it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And the theme with her and somebody else that spoke up about it, that it was like something was kind of, sitting right next to him and kind of like with their head tilted, what are you going to do? They're like looking right at you.
Right.
And do I scare you?
Right.
So it was just, it was kind of, I'm going to stare right into your eyes and I'm just going to, do I intimidate you?
Wow.
So that seemed to be a theme.
Yeah.
In Jasmine tonight. But, whoever's up there, be it Ralph, be it something else that we cannot identify, something's going on in that room. And there'll be people who will go and sleep in that room and they're totally fine. They're like, I had the greatest sleep ever. I don't understand. Then there are people who don't know about its activity, who have no knowledge of the manor being haunted, just normal, people who go and granted the manor's not booked anymore as individual rooms. It used to be. Now it's entirely different. You got to book out the whole place.
Right.
But when it was a place where you can rent individual rooms, plenty of people did not know about it. And plenty of people have notified management to sit there. I don't like that room. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a matter of the quality of the hotel. It was, I just didn't like that room. And they would leave in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Leave in the middle of the night. So,
that's insane.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
So the legend of Ralph lives on.
Lives on. That is something that you can say is credible. That is that legend right there.
And that's assuming it's Ralph. We're going with Ralph because we don't, until we have a better way of identifying who or what it is. It is what it is. I mean, if we could properly identify whoever's in there, we would love to.
Right. When is the next OC Ghosts and Legends next lockdown? When is that going to happen?
Man, we got some exciting things coming. We will be back at the Omen House.
Yay!
We're coming back for 2 dates in July. People spoke, and they loved it.
Wonderful.
And of course, we had a great time, so we're looking forward to heading back over there and having another powwow at the Omen House and see what else we get. We're hoping, if everything goes as we want it to this year, we're going to have another new venue announcement.
Is that top secret?
Top secret for right now.
Man.
Unfortunately, most of what we're doing is undercover, top secret. We can't disclose, but because we're also, when we're out there, we're investigating in hopes of finding an ideal gem location that we can bring people to. And the Braken Fern is one of them. We had to keep that under wraps for a little bit, and 4 years later, it's our biggest, smash venue, and people keep coming back. And whether they experience anything or not, there's something about the place that people connect with.
Yes.
They don't even have to have anything profound happen to them on a paranormal level. There's just a connection about it. They're like, there's something about this place. And they just love the whole experience that 4 years later, it's almost like a family reunion.
It is true. It is true.
Like Celine and her family are back for the second time. So that's pretty amazing.
They're collecting new memories every year.
So do you, as a closer, do you think you had a very successful night then?
I think we did. And again, I think everyone came out of here having experienced something, or they learned something.
Right.
Or even just appreciating the history of the place. And, we're going to keep coming back here as long as we're welcome back here. And as long as Ralph is kind to us. And
you abide by his rules, you'll be fine.
And perhaps some of the ladies of the manor were making their presence known tonight. And it was a successful night. Everyone seemed happy, but very sleepy heads tonight. Everyone's going home,
we're all
hitting the pillow. We're all dead right now. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
That was awful.
Well, thank you so much. And then with a bad pun, Chris. That's the style. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for everything and having Hollyweird Paranormal here at Braken Fern Manor. This was an amazing night.
Thank you for coming.
No problem. I can't wait to put this episode together.
We're excited.
Thank you. So we all had a very successful investigation and lockdown at the Braken Fern Manor. We collected a lot of wonderful EVPs. We felt a lot of things that we couldn't explain and saw things that we couldn't explain. But we all had that validation. We all witnessed it. And I highly think that there's something there at Braken Fern Manor, and it definitely makes his presence known. And it's not just Braken Fern Manor. it's Lake Arrowhead. The environment, the water, the earth, the energy, everything. It is definitely a unique place, rich in mysticism and mystery. I ended up having to spend the night at Braken Fern Manor because the storm and the fog was so bad I couldn't see the road ahead of me. There's 18 miles of mountain road before you hit the interstate to go back to LA, and there was no way that I was able to make that commute. So fortunately, they had an empty room available, and thankfully it wasn't the Jasmine room. It was the Fern room, or the honeymoon suite. And I actually had a good night's rest. Maybe it's because I grounded myself and told whatever was around me to let me sleep. And if they understood, to please make a tap on a window and a door. Sure enough, I heard a light little tap on the door. And I had a good night's rest. We wanted to take the time to say thank you to everyone that's a part of OC Ghost and Legends, especially Chris August. Thank you so much for allowing Hollyweird Paranormal to lock down with you guys at the Braken Fern Manor. If you want to know more information and future lockdown events with OC Ghosts and Legends, which I highly recommend, head on over to their website at www.ocghostandlegends.com. If you want to summon them or stalk them, you can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at OC Ghost and Legends. If you love Hollyweird Paranormal, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. It really helps us out a lot, and it helps us become a little more visible. Can't get enough of Hollyweird Paranormal? Then stalk us or summon us on Instagram and Facebook at Hollyweird Paranormal and Twitter at HWP Podcast. Have a story that you're dying to share, no pun intended, then email us at hollyweirdparanormal@gmail.com. Trust me, guys, we've been reading your emails, your ghost stories, and I would say just keep an eye out for future listeners' tales because there's been a lot of submissions and we really appreciate it. Plus, I love seeing Bryce scared. Catch up with our past episodes on Blueberry, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, CastBox, Player FM, and Spotify. And always remember, guys, stay Hollyweird.